Hey y'all, this is Heather Peterson Lockhart with Deep Thoughts. I'm pondering today. I'm also dripping sweat because I just finished training, so pardon that. You know, it is what it is. I ask you today what you stand for and what you want to teach your kids to stand for. I think some of us are of the thinking that, well, society raised us, so society will raise the kids and we'll all be fine. But the fact of the matter is, if you look around, there's not too much fine about it. You know, I'd say things are pretty defunct. And that's a nice word. That's a really nice word. Apathetic comes to mind. Lethargy comes to mind. Oh, lack of accountability. I mean, I could keep going, but you know, really why? I believe in being part of the solution and not part of the problem. So, of that thinking, I've had two instances recently that have really drawn my attention to the condition and state of our society and our societal thinking. And the first was, well, one is to ask a public institution for a copy of their spendings, specifically the spendings of the fees collected from us parents. And when I was asked, I was looked at like I asked to see them naked. It's a public institution. There were fees I paid. Deserve to see a copy of how they were spent, and it should be easy to just produce. The second was I took my kids to Stone Mountain the other day, and we watched a laser show. And for those of you who don't know, Stone Mountain is a gosh, I really should have learned that word. It would have made me sound really smart on here. It's a piece of magma that through years of erosion is exposed, and so it's a great big lava rock, right? It's a lava mountain, and the side of it they've carved the side of it similar to Mount Rushmore, and we were watching a laser show on the side of the mountain. So we're all sitting on the grass on blankets and stuff, and there's like a huge laser show right in front of our faces, all over the mountain. And since it was during spring break, and so it was about stay in school, get an education, have a good life, that kind of stuff. And then it went on to tribute to America, and so it showed different things that have happened in USA history, and then it had a great big American flag and a bald eagle, and it said in great big magnificent letters across the entire side of the mountain, "Please rise." And then they started to play our national anthem. And so my girl stood up, and I told my son, I said, "Stand up and put your hand on your heart." He said, "Okay." And so Star Spangled Banner started to play, and I happened to look around, and I saw quite a few people. I mean, shit, one's too many for me, but I saw quite a few people seated on their blankets and not getting up. And a couple of them had kids with them. And I still have the same reaction right now, like my heart starts pounding out of my chest. And I couldn't quiet my heart then or stow my thinking, and I was just outraged. And so I looked over at him and I started yelling, and I was like, "Get up!" And I was looking right at him, and I'm like, "Get up!" And my girls turned around and looked at me, and then they looked back at the flag, and my son said, "Mommy, why are you yelling?" And I said, "Because this is the song for our country, and people have died for it to keep our country what it is. And if you live here, you pay respect. You show that it means something. You stand when the song plays." Some of them stood, some of them didn't. And I left there thinking there was two kinds of kids that left that field in that incident, in that altercation, if you will. Those kids that laid on the blanket that saw their parents stand for nothing, and my kids who left there and saw their parents stand for something. In both cases, this is the scary thing, you guys, in both cases, the only hesitation I had in opening my mouth and saying anything was that I don't want to embarrass my kids. Not because that's corrupt or wrong, but because I didn't want to embarrass my children. And that's society thinking. That's not my human brain. That's not my spirit brain. That's nothing but society bullshit. And I don't want to play anymore. And I don't want my kids to play. And I don't want my kids to see that crap. And if I expect them to have someone else to look to demonstrate how to go a different way and speak for what you believe in, well, I'm afraid that the picking pool is getting slim. So I have to be that person. I encourage you to, be the person that you want your children to emulate. Set the example. Let them see by you doing it. Have the courage to speak up for what is right, regardless of what your community says to you. And when your kids are listening to some of these people that are talking about personal accountability, find out what they believe in. Because if they don't believe in a power greater than themselves, I ask you, what are they accountable to? Because if you're only accountable to yourself, then I'll tell you what, my accountability differs from day to day, right? Because ain't nothing bigger than me and what I think is okay for that day. Open your minds, get responsible, get proactive. You have to be the change you want to see.